we meet Peter Bauer, who starts his day like usual, waking up and getting ready for what's coming. But things change quickly when he sees his wife, Carol, upset and crying in their bedroom. Peter tries his best to make her feel better, telling her it was all just a bad dream, and suggests she tries to sleep some more. With the day still ahead, Peter leaves the house, makes his way through the city, and takes a train to work. When he gets there, he starts talking to a guy who says he's a musician. But when Peter asks him about the current president and the year, saying it's Ronald Reagan in 1987, it's clear we're stepping into a story from the not-too-distant past. The story gets more interesting as this man wonders if he and Peter have met before. It turns out Peter is a psychotherapist, someone who helps people deal with their thoughts and feelings. As the story goes on, Peter talks with another person, Duncan, in a different office. They talk about the past, including Peter's wish to go back to his job helping patients. Their talk gets more personal, discussing how Carol dealt with a big upset that left her heartbroken. Duncan asks more about Evie, a name that's obviously very important to Peter. Overwhelmed with emotion, Peter can't stop crying, remembering a special time with his daughter, followed by a painful memory of him running towards her, found near the road. As the story continues, we see Peter's patients telling him their life stories, showing how important he was to them. One patient stands out, a woman who talks about feeling lost and hopeless, but also her fight against those feelings. The story takes a touching turn when Peter, briefly distracted by the noise of a train, realizes he's alone, highlighting the loneliness he feels. Then, out of nowhere, a young girl shows up, asking for Peter's help. She introduces herself as Elizabeth Valentine, with a document she gives him, and the story takes a magical turn when the pencil she's given starts moving on its own, possibly because of another train passing by. Elizabeth, who suddenly feels afraid. Peter, trying to make her feel secure, quickly closes the blinds, but when he turns back, Elizabeth has disappeared, leaving behind only some strange numbers as her clue. Peter heads home, deep in thought, and starts looking through a box filled with memories of his daughter, Evie. Carol, his wife, finds him in this moment of reflection and realizes they're close to the anniversary of Evie's leaving. She thinks anniversaries should be a time for celebration, but there's a lot of unspoken sadness. The next day, Peter goes back to his office and sees Elizabeth's doll left in the waiting room. The office door is slightly open, and inside, Elizabeth stands by the window, caught up in her own thoughts. When Peter approaches, trying to understand how she got in, Elizabeth doesn't speak but makes eerie sounds, pointing to something outside the window before suddenly falling. Peter rushes to help her, but in a moment, she's gone again, leaving no sign. He looks around the streets, but it's as if she's turned into a ghost. Confused and looking for answers, Peter talks to Duncan, only to face the idea that what he's going through might not be real. Duncan suggests the scary thought that Elizabeth and her mysterious initials might be just in Peter's mind, a result of his deep sadness. The mystery gets more complex with the find of a doll that might belong to Evie and a painting that disturbs Peter's dreams. He's worried about what or who he might find in that painting. As he deals with these visions, his meetings with Elizabeth seem more and more unclear. Thinking about the numbers Elizabeth left, he's interrupted by the sound of someone at his office door. But when he checks, he finds the waiting room empty, reminding him of the day's strange events. Here, Peter finds himself in a confusing situation. He's in his office when Elizabeth, a young girl, suddenly shows up. She whispers something scary about they have her and disappears as soon as Peter mentions his daughter's name. Trying to figure out who Elizabeth is talking about. Going home, Peter feels something eerie. A door makes a spooky noise until he closes it firmly. That night, he has a quiet time with Carol, his wife, but they can't find peace. The next day on a train, Peter has a spooky talk with a woman patient he had seen before. She creepily tells him he's missed his stop and shares a dark secret about herself, leading to a scary moment when the train goes dark and she turns into something frightening. Getting off the train, Peter's world gets even more mysterious. He sees the woman again, this time outside his office, standing still. Looking at his records, he's shocked to find out his patients, including the woman and Elizabeth, have passed away. The realization that Elizabeth's strange numbers are a date adds more to the mystery. As a train stops outside his window, Peter sees his passed-away patients looking at him, a quiet, spooky crowd. Talking with Duncan, he learns a dark link. All the patients died on the same date, and Peter had sent them to Duncan. This makes Peter question his own reality, especially when he finds Duncan gone, and a mirror reflection shows no one there. Needing answers, Peter goes to False Creek. There, his father meets him, asking questions and mentioning Peter's absence from Evie's funeral, a moment of missed mourning. In his childhood home, Peter finds comfort in a familiar room. He finds a box full of memories, searching it for understanding or maybe closure. A strange paper, which seems to contain secrets he hasn't figured out yet. Looking for answers, he ends up at a bar meeting an old friend named Baz. Even though they agreed never to talk about it, Peter mentions the year 1987, causing a lot of upset in Baz, who angrily tells Peter to stay away before leaving in a hurry. Meanwhile, Father William finds the same paper in his son's room, showing it's important. As Peter walks near train tracks, he remembers his childhood. 2 kids, including a younger Peter, bravely put their bikes on the tracks and watch a secret meeting. Their trouble is interrupted by a train coming, forcing them to quickly escape. In the confusion, Peter sees familiar faces in a train, faces of people he would later know. The story becomes sadder when William sees a newspaper headline. 47 people died in a train crash. The tragedy hits home when Peter, standing where the boy once stood, sees the crash site himself. This moment is marked by a vision of his daughter, Evie, showing him ghostly figures on the tracks. As Peter looks for peace, he meets Elizabeth, a vision that turns scary with the appearance of another person, Felix, looking horrifying. Upset, Peter goes home but is pulled back into the mystery by the strange paper. A spooky night follows, with swings moving by themselves, first empty, then with Elizabeth, and finally Evie, before being empty again. Peter's search into the spooky is suddenly stopped by Elizabeth's surprising appearance, waking him up. Now the story moves to Baz, alone in his car at a train crossing, while Peter admits to a policewoman his part in the sad events of 1987, looking for peace for himself and those hurt by the crash. This admission reveals the officer's own loss, linking their stories even more. Back at his dad's house, Peter tries to destroy the newspaper article about the crash, but the fire won't burn it. His search in the house stops at a locked door and strange noises, leading to a scary moment with Elizabeth, who disappears as quickly as she showed up. In an unexpected turn, Duncan shows up in front of Peter, saying the spooky figures are not just ghosts, but show Peter's hidden guilt. Even though Peter believes he has accepted the truth, Duncan wonders why Peter still sees these figures, hinting at deeper secrets related to the sad loss of Peter's daughter. The story moves to Barbara, a police officer, who carefully looks at photos and papers, finding a photo of a young Peter with his dad William near the train tracks. This find sends Peter back to a childhood memory, ending with the shocking find of Baz's dead body, deeply upsetting Peter. In a car, Peter tells Barbara about the role he and Baz had in a terrible train crash, a secret he had kept to himself. Touched by Peter's openness, Barbara offers her help, marking an important point in their joint search for the truth. At home, Peter is drawn to a newspaper story linking the train crash to the mystery of a missing kid named Elizabeth. This link gets stronger as Barbara shows new clues found near the tracks, leading Peter to share his special skill to feel those lost in the crash, a skill he thinks got stronger after his own daughter's death. Peter's details about Barbara's mom, info he shouldn't know, makes Barbara believe in what he's going through, but she suggests he gets help, worried about his mental health. Despite this, Peter's search into the unknown goes on as he finds a doll in his car, leading him into the woods, looking for Elizabeth. His search ends with a surprising moment, strengthening his link to the mysterious child. As Barbara looks into the new clue, a school badge, she understands the complex mystery around the train crash, leading her to talk to William. Their conversation questions the official account of the accident, hinting at a bigger, more complicated truth. As the story goes, Peter heads to the shack, while Barbara points out something important. The path William took should have been blocked off because of a roadblock, indicating he was there before the bad things happened. She shows a school badge and a picture of Elizabeth, leading Peter to a shocking discovery about his dad, William, who did something terrible to Elizabeth, causing a train crash. Barbara thinks William is hiding the truth about what Peter saw that night. Meanwhile, Peter, troubled by the memory of his dad's actions, faces William. Even though William denies everything, Peter tries to get him to admit the truth, only to find out Barbara is in danger when her phone rings from William's pocket. Things get worse as William, now feeling cornered, pulls out a gun and takes Peter into the garage with bad intentions. A tense face-off happens, with Barbara's cries for help in the background, and ends with Peter knocked out. As William tries to get away with Barbara still captive, the ghostly figure of Elizabeth leads to a crash and the car stopping on train tracks. Trying to get out before it's too late, William can't because the doors are locked and he's haunted by Elizabeth's ghost, a reminder of his wrongdoing. In an intense rescue, Peter saves Barbara, standing up to his dad's harmful action. The train hitting the car marks the end of William's harmful behavior. Afterward, Peter thinks about the lost souls, seeing Elizabeth change from a scary ghost to a peaceful one, showing her troubles are over. The story ends with a peaceful moment between Peter and his daughter Evie, highlighting the strong connection between father and child.